if you watch these episodes in order, this one is released on October 30th, Halloween Eve. Halloween has been around for a long time and is currently celebrated in many countries. It is thought to have evolved from Neolithic and Celtic harvest celebrations. In the past 4 episodes, we've talked about those Halloween nightmares that scare us this time of year. Werewolves, zombies, vampires, and witches. Now, we could have talked about the Mummy, the Frankenstein monster, or the creature from the Black Lagoon, and there are others, but there just wasn't enough time to touch on each one. Some of the monsters I left out on purpose, the big ones like Godzilla or King Kong. They weren't near as scary. You could hide from them. They were too big and made a lot of noise so they couldn't sneak up on you. And while Frankenstein wasn't so big, you could run away from him. He was too slow because of that funny walk. I always had fun as a kid on Halloween. You could go around to your neighbors and beg for candy. Actually, it wasn't begging. We demanded candy, and non-compliance would result in some horrific episode befalling those refusing the treat. I can only remember trick-or-treating one Halloween when I was 7 or 8. My friend Jimmy Elrod was with me, and at one house I knocked and a drunk guy came to the door. Jimmy and I gave the standard trick-or-treat, and he said, "There ain't no Santa Claus here, kid," and slammed the door. We knew right off that he was drinking because he didn't seem to know the difference between Christmas and Halloween. So as punishment for non-conformance of treating, I tore a bunch of little green leaves off a bush and threw them on his porch. Jimmy and I were too scared to stick around to witness the horror of this guy finding those leaves on his porch. I'll bet he was mad as a hornet. When I lived in Chattanooga, there was always a big Halloween parade. Now, it wasn't a parade in the classic sense. They just blocked traffic for a block on Market Street and kids pranced around in their costumes. Of course, there were adults around to keep order, but we thought they were just kids dressed up like giants. And I can't ever remember wearing a Halloween costume, although I do remember browsing around all the boxed costumes in the downtown Woolworths and McClellan's dime stores every October. You could get a tramp costume or you could get a cowboy suit, complete with a cap pistol. If I had $1.25 back then, I would have considered myself rich. And I certainly wouldn't have spent it on a cheap costume if it had it. With that $1.25, I could have gone to 5 movies and had a Coke, popcorn, and the Snickers for each one. I won't tell this story again because my kids are sick of it. When I was about 4 or 5, my Aunt Frankie blacked my face so I could be a minstrel on Halloween. I looked in the mirror and it scared me to death. I must have cried for a half an hour. I'm glad it didn't go out like that because 40 years later, a picture of me made up like that would have popped up on social media and it would have ruined my career. In 1957, we moved to Bedford, Indiana, and Halloween was a lot different there. Kids would go out trick-or-treating at least a week before Halloween. I never did figure that out unless it was extra time to allow the kids to get all of Bedford's 13,000 residents. I was a teenager then and didn't want the kids with greased DAs to think I was a sissy. I wanted to do the things the big kids did, like turn over outhouses. We couldn't do that because all the outhouses were in the country and we had no way to get there. But one Halloween, one of the older kids, Denny Peters, who had a souped-up 49 Chevy, drove us out to the Hodges farm so that we could turn over his outhouse. But old man Hodges caught us and shot off his shotgun. We decided not to turn over his outhouse, and we left and went to Leonard's Drive-In for a hamburger. I do remember one Halloween when a goat turned up on the second floor of the Bedford High School building. And if you're listening, Mrs. Byerly, she was my homeroom teacher, it wasn't me. I had nothing to do with it. I wish I had.
Driving down the highway